Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I'm talking to my colleague, Beth Webster. Beth is a NEBOSH diploma holder. She's also got a number of NEBOSH certificates, but she's also got a really interesting, as she calls it, side hustle that she does alongside the day job, which is a big job in itself. Well, I probably should introduce you first. Hi, Beth.
Hello. Nice to be here, Matt.
You're going to tell us a little bit about your career in health and safety.
So if we go right back to the beginning, after my degree, I went to test food, not physically test food, but microbiologically test food. And from what I remember there was very little safety training. So I wasn't there for a terribly long time. I always wanted to work in public health. So I had the opportunity to move to what was then the Central Public Health Laboratory in Colindale. They had a very strong safety focus. Everything had to be very clear. Everything was risk assessed. Everything was procedure led. And I did it, like you said, I did a few roles at PHE, which went through a couple of name changes. So it became Health Protection Agency, and then in 2013 it became PHE. But by the time we became PHE, I was already in health and safety. My last lab job, I worked in sexually transmitted infections, and each laboratory had a safety officer, which looked after their own particular area, and they all had a deputy. And I offered to become the deputy because there was nobody else willing to do it. So that's why I ended up doing my NGC.
By that time, did you already have an inkling that you could see a career in health and safety?
No, not at all. It was just something else to do in the lab and help the lab out. Everybody had different roles to perform aside from their day-to-day laboratory work. So this was mine, and I took on the role of undertaking risk assessments and the DSE assessments for all the new starters in my laboratory. After my return from my first lot of maternity leave, I felt I needed a bit of a change, and then the opportunity came. There was a large change in the health and safety provision as it was at the time, Health Protection Agency. The health and safety became a more corporate function rather than division-led or centre-led. So the corporate health and safety function had a role available as a safety advisor, which I applied for and was successful. So that was my move into safety. Having had all the background already in the laboratory health and safety stuff, it was quite an easy transition. But then I looked after a lot more because I looked after the bacteriology labs at PHE Colindale, or HPA Colindale, and then took on looking after the East of England laboratories as well.
Big role for your first health and safety post then?
Yeah, very big. Well, I would say my first health and safety role was actually the Deputy Lab Safety Officer, but that was it was a nice stepping stone.
Yeah. Your latest role then at UCB, and we'll come back to the London School of Hygiene in a moment.
My role at UCB is the first role I'm a manager, health and safety manager. There's a head of safety above me, but they work on a hybrid. It's been quite a long transitional process. The head of safety is very keen on the safety two or safety differently model, and at UCB we're doing a hybrid safety one. All the things that we really need to be very clear, guidelines, risk assessments, etc. And then everything else, we allow the scientists to use their expertise, their competency, along with some guidance from us, to just do their daily due.
Quite a mature health and safety culture then.
Yeah, it is. We trust our scientists to know what they're doing.
Your time at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, I know you enjoyed your time there, and obviously you've made some great headway there as well in establishing your own career. Which parts of I know you said you sort of met some of the challenges when you were working at the school, and also parts of the role that you really, really loved.
I joined the London School at a rather interesting time. I covered everything from DSE, electrical safety, up to high containment laboratory, high containment microbiology, containment level 3, and everything in between.
People can have a size of the scale of the London School. How many learners, students?
There was roughly 1,500 members of staff over two main buildings, one laboratory building and one office-based office building. And then we had roughly 3,000 students, and the same again as distance learners.
Quite a big job then.
Yeah, quite challenging, but I had lots of support within each faculty. There was somebody dedicated, even though they didn't belong to the safety function, they belonged to the faculty, but they were my eyes and ears. They would be the ones that, if people had issues, they would go to them first, and then it would be escalated to me to help sort out, or if any problems, they can come to me directly.
What were your key areas of focus there then? Because obviously you can't do everything. Where did you sort of prioritize?
No, it was mostly a biological agent focus, because they do a lot of work on high containment microbiology, TB, things like that. So
yeah, there's very few people with your skill set then who could have stepped into that role, really. A jobbing safety professional like me, I mean, I wouldn't be able to have done the role that you were.
All my previous work in laboratories and I've never actually worked at high containment, but I've trained a lot of staff to work in high containment, and I've taken all their knowledge and experience and taken it on to my other roles.
Yeah. So let's talk about your career within health and safety. Which bits of it do you absolutely love, and which bits of it do you find maybe more of a challenge or mundane? Or
I really enjoyed. I haven't done it for a while because of various reasons. I really enjoyed training, and I enjoyed training new scientists and new people to the business and showing them the way that we do things, but as well as all the basic stuff with regards to mostly laboratory health and safety. I really enjoyed that. I used to go around the country delivering induction health and safety training when I was at PHE. Enjoyed that. The bits I find a bit more mundane. I'm not very good at meetings.
Right.
Safety meetings tend to be very dry. You end up discussing the same old, and often nothing gets moved forward very quickly. Working groups are much better. Other challenges or other tricky areas, actually establishing yourself. I wasn't at the London School for terribly long, and I haven't been at UCB for long at all. And it's just establishing yourself in the start of that role. It's like, well, I'm this person, and now you come to me instead of that person over there. It's how they see you, as you're not there to interfere or tell them what to do or whatever. You're there to assist. It's actually getting to understand that to start with.
You're a really strong personality, and I mean that in the best way, Beth, from what I know. What are the sort of softer skills that you've got which you feel serve you well as a practitioner? I
like to get in with everybody. I like to make myself known to people that you'll need help from in the future. So people like estates staff, facilities management, canteen staff, security, those sorts of people who you're going to have to call on. Not just dealing with the heads of department, it's dealing with their PAs or their assistants and people like that. I like to make myself known to all of those types of people.
Well, I think you mentioned, sometimes those people can be your eyes and ears as well, can't they?
Oh, certainly, yes. I mean, because they're the people on the ground all the time. If you're only one, as I was at the London School for a while, I can't be everywhere. I was based in the main lab block, but I had an excellent faculty safety supervisor over in our office block. We would talk daily about things that she'd noticed or things that had been brought up to her, just so I didn't have to walk 10 minutes down the road in the rain, generally.
Well, from what I've taken from our conversation, you seem to have a real, absolute, correct belief that actually you don't own health and safety. It's owned by...
Oh, certainly not.
Scientists, the faculty owners, and actually I think as a young aspiring safety person, obviously not young now, when I was starting out in health and safety, I thought I had to own everything, and I was...
Oh, no. If you own everything, you'll go mad. There was a phrase that we used when I was at PHE, is that when I was an advisor, is that I advise. Advisors advise, managers manage. And if you advise, you can choose to take my advice, but I strongly, believe that you should follow my advice. But if you don't, then you have to justify it.
Yes. It took a while for me to learn that, so it's good to...
Yeah.
think it's important we try and sort of share that. So that's brilliant. Something which does seem to come up very often in our profession is that we are dominated by men. And do you find you've met any challenges being a woman within the health and safety profession?
A few, not so many. I would say that I've been relatively, I wouldn't say lucky, but well, maybe lucky in not experiencing that sort of discrimination, for want of a better phrase. At PHE, the corporate health and safety team was majority women, I would say. Well, at least we were probably equal, and certainly the biological advisors were all female. At the London school, that I say there was only one of me, and I was a woman. There I had a few more struggles, but that was maybe because I was new. It may have happened if there'd been a new male advisor. I did have a few robust conversations with some of the more senior academics, but I don't think it was because I was a woman. There are more females coming into health and safety roles, and I don't know whether that's because of the less traditional sort of clipboard people, and we're moving to more a softer behaviour-led safety culture rather than tick boxes and hard hats.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly finding within our own learners that we're not moving away. There's still a significant proportion of our learners are those traditional male engineers, but with each passing year that becomes less and less and less and less and less, and now it's a much more balanced. The learners, come from every background. It's a nice split, male, female. Ages is a much more broader than it was before. I've been at NEBOSH 14 years, and in those 14 years, we've seen a big change in the demographics of where our learners are coming from.
I'm trying to think back to my diploma modules and trying to think of the split of male, female, but I think it was still majority male dominated. Only say engineers.
Yeah.
Things like Unit C, which was really not my cup of tea, but there we go. There was very few women on those courses. But my fire course was equal men-women.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about is I've always felt that you managed to strike a really good balance between your work life. I might be entirely wrong on this, I don't know. and then, as you call it, your side hustle. Beth is a regular on a TV show called Eggheads. Do you want to talk about how you managed this sort of quite nice split? And you're also a very, very keen quizzer as well, aren't you?
I've always been interested in quizzing, and then Mastermind came back onto the telly and went, right, I'm going on that. So that was where I started, and it was quite some time ago now. 2004 is where I started my quizzing journey. So I've been on Mastermind several times over the years, and the first year in 2004 I did the novels of Michael Crichton as my specialist subject, and I've done everything through life and works of painters, to another novelist called Barbara Vine, who is a pseudonym of Ruth Rendell. I've done TV shows, and my last foray in 2013, I think, was the Muppet movies.
Oh.
You just find the time. I mean, often you can go and record a quiz show in a day. So I've been up and down to Manchester, which is where Mastermind was filmed at the time. I've done that in a day, up in the morning, back on the last train, back at work the next day. But before I had children, I had much more time in the evening to revise for those sorts of things.
Yeah, that sort of balance, getting that work-life balance, you feel you've got it about right then, or is it,
My husband wouldn't say so. He said he would reckon I do too much quizzing. But you just... And when I was commuting, I could spend 2 hours on the train every day just reading, and that's the best way of learning your facts for quizzing.
Yeah, I did ask you to think about some top tips for aspiring practitioners, or what you wish you'd been told when you started out within a career in health and safety. So from your experience, will you share them with us, please?
Never be afraid to look stuff up. Don't expect yourself to know everything. I mean, I'm blessed with a good memory, so I can reel off bits of law or bits of regulations here, there, and everywhere. But don't expect to know everything. That's what the books are for. That's what the internet is for. That's what the HSE website's for. I am on that daily, looking up bits and bobs, because you can't know everything. Another one would be defer to your other experienced colleagues, not both within health and safety, but within other spaces. Work with everybody, use their experience to help you.
Yeah, I take some pressure off yourself is really what you.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah.
No, that's really sound advice. Well, Beth, I'll let you go. I understand it's your day off today, and you've taken the time.
It is, but it's been lovely talking to you, Matt.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you.